So I think I've finally gotten to the bottom of what Above Dragon is. I mean, not like on the power scale so much. There's never really going to be any more clarity on that because I've said it ad nauseum that it's like a fan term, unfortunately popularized by myself. I did not coin the term, of course. That came from Scissor23 on Reddit, and I say unfortunately because it's a very polarizing term, and some of you probably aren't aware of the polarization, and that's good. That means you're not too deep in this community and you should keep on doing what you're doing. But if you go to other social media platforms, you'll see that that's a very decisive term because, you know, some people treat battle manga like religion or politics. But I want to go over the history of Above Dragon itself. And while I have before, I never really went as far as I'm going to now, but it mainly goes into like translations and stuff. And that being said, let me point out that all of the information we're going to be going over today was provided by VibHavM on Reddit. You've probably heard me talk about this guy a lot, but he's the backbone of the One Punch Man community. But he made a thread about this a couple months ago, and I'm only getting around to now to talking about it. But he goes over the history of Above Dragon, and he also mentions like the actual like Above Dragon term, like verbatim what one himself said in the Q&A portion of the Databook, the origin of like the whole Above Dragon thing in the first place. So I've never actually shown this portion of the page in a video because I never had access to it, I guess. Here's a quick glance of the original, you know, with the Japanese text in case you're interested in that stuff. But here's the translation by Vib, and it says, question, what was Boros's disaster level? And one's answer, dragon or higher. So I guess that's considered to be the most accurate translation of what he actually said, and I'm assuming that Vib is going off of that because that's originally what HDX514 said. And by the way, HDX, if you're still out there by some chance, I haven't forgotten about you, buddy. I'm gonna make a video about you. So now let me read Vib's thoughts on this information here. So he said he uses another term of debate here in ryuijo. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong. I don't really care because Japanese people can't pronounce English words correctly either, but for some reason we give them a pass. So I'm saying ryuijo, and if you don't like it, I guess complain about it in the comments. Give me more engagement, please. But I'll go more into ryuijo after this because that's what Above Dragon literally is. An ambiguous-ish term that could mean no less than dragon or dragon or higher, which I went with because that's what HDX514 used to use. Or God forbid, Above Dragon. See what I'm talking about? My guess is this is because one was trying to make clear that Boros is much stronger than all your average dragons while also saving the word God for the future, not wanting to use it so soon. As keep in mind, this is from 2015, back when Volume 9 was the latest volume. If you want, you could use the text on the right side as proof that he is not God level. An observation I made is that Databook paragraphs with arrows next to them are a lot more grounded and accurate than ones without. But that's up to you. So what he just said about the text on the right side with the arrows, let's go over what that says. Disaster level dragon. Who knows what kind of monster could possibly be disaster level god? So I don't know if one wrote that or if he wanted that to be there. Again, we hardly ever know what these mangakas want or don't want. But if anybody would know this, it would be Vib because he's almost completely translated the Databook, and once he finishes it, I'll make a video about it. But from what I always took away from the little excerpts and just 90% of the information in the Databook or the One Punch Man encyclopedia, and I think Vib may have corroborated with this, but it's kind of written in like this weird hyperbolic superfluous way as if it's like being written by someone who lives in the One Punch Man world. So that's why we get all these weird statements like when Metal Bat's anger reaches maximum, his power approaches infinity, and we all know how much discourse that has caused the community over the last, I don't know, 7 years or something. But does that mean that Boros isn't God level, or is he God level? I honestly don't care. I've already talked about this for years, and I'm just so far past all of that stuff that honestly doesn't really matter to me anymore. But what does matter to me is at least trying to make what one said come across more clear. And that brings me back to ryuijo. That is what Above Dragon is. So I'm gonna try, like I said, I'm sure I'll slip up eventually, but I'm gonna try to say ryuijo whenever I'm referring to above dragon, because that is verbatim what one said regarding the power of Boros. And I guess that's also what Murata said on his live stream when he was referring to the power of Orochi, because at least according to HDX and Scissor back in the day, he more or less said Orochi's disaster level is dragon or higher, aka above dragon, and I'm assuming it all comes from ryuijo. Ryu, we all know, is dragon, you know, from Street Fighter, but Ijo, that's a whole other thing. Now, am I saying that you have to say ryuijo? No, you could say or do whatever you want, but maybe if you're looking for more of an accurate term, ryuijo. Now, as for the current state of ryuijo, or above dragon, the lines have gotten kind of blurred, right? I mean, I guess we kind of had a pretty clear understanding of what it may or may not have been up until like a year ago, I guess, because I guess a majority of the community had agreed that like it was Boros, Awakened Garo, Tatsumaki, and Orochi, and then, you know, Blast, probably. Those were like the ryuijo above dragon standards. But now, I just don't know anymore. Because the thing that has really thrown a wrench into this is Golden S. Because we've been waiting for years to see this guy in the manga, and when he finally debuted, he didn't disappoint. He had some pretty incredible feats, such as like completely embarrassing Vomited Fear Ugly, who had embarrassed Darkshine, who was pretty much a consensus high dragon. So, you know, a lot of us assumed, hey, maybe Golden S is above dragon in the manga, or not. I'm not really sure. Then he became Platinum S, and then it was like, oh, is Platinum S definitely above dragon? But then Platinum S was like fighting against Flashy Flash and pre-awakened Garo, and it's like, wait, are they above dragon? And we have Atomic Samurai when he gets possessed by the Sunblade. Is he ryuijo? But then going even further, now we have Sage Centipede and Evil Natural Ocean. Are they ryuijo? I mean, on paper, I guess they would kind of have to be, going in the progression of disaster levels or power levels. And it's all making me think like, maybe we were all wrong about what just high dragon was even in the first place. But it seemed, I don't know, pretty clear cut up until, like I said, a year ago, because I've always personally used the Bakuzan, Goketsu, Orochi scale. But now, I don't know if that's accurate, or maybe it's been retconned, or maybe it was never clear in the first place. And to be honest, I only really use those terms because it just gives us a better understanding of how powerful these characters are. And figuring out the power of a character, to be honest, isn't really that important. Not even in the most meathead of the battle mangas. Because in my opinion at least, the mangakas themselves honestly don't even really have that perfect of a picture in their heads, or that clear of an understanding of how strong their own characters are. And I know that might anger some people, but guys, it's like the truth. Whenever you see like weird things happen in the manga that don't make sense, it's because, you know, maybe they are kind of confused themselves and they're kind of writing themselves out of a hole. I'm not saying that that's the case with one. One for sure is one of the better mangakas out there, but I wouldn't be surprised if even one comes to a crossroads in his writing where he's like, what do I do here? So I just wanted to put that out there. Above dragon is dead for the most part. Ryuijo is in, and I don't even really know what ryuijo is. So I don't know what you're going to take away from this one, guys, but I just wanted to put that out there because it's, I don't know, kind of important information.